meeting to order. First item is roll call. Becky, could you do that?
Hankins,
Here.
Triplett, here. Dietz,
Here.
Olfest,
Here.
Vogel.
Here. Okay, next item, approval of the agenda. We have a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Against? Passes. Okay, item 4, audience, any items not on the agenda would be discussed at this time, so any open items anybody would have. Not, we will move on to the next item, okay? Item 5, approval of the P&Z Commission meeting minutes for March 18th. So I had a chance to go over.
I'll move for the minutes as submitted.
Okay. I'll second those. Okay. Any discussion, corrections? Not. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
5. Okay, item 6 is the Beautiful Savior Lutheran Church fields. Kathleen, you gonna speak to that first? Or?
I guess I'd ask the applicant if they would.
Yep, that's fine. Matt, would you like to
Sure.
speak to that?
This is where I go, right?
Yes, that's the
All right. Matt Woolman, 1405 Polk City. I'm here on behalf of North Polk United Soccer Board. This is my second time that I've been in front of you folks. First time I came, I did a similar program. North Polk, you worked with Lakeside Fellowship Church on providing irrigation, field restoration, and seeding to a field that Lakeside, their behalf, had donated for play to the soccer group, so we could play on. And we went through that process roughly 24 months ago. Beautiful Savior has since came to the table, kind of with the same. We're working on somewhat of the same deal, other than we're working on it in stages, which is a little different from Lakeside, and that is that they have a space that they have deemed willing to give up for use of soccer play, and I have worked with their group. I started the process maybe 10 months or so, maybe it's a little bit longer, and I went to them with the thought of it was going to be a little less impactful than what we did at Lakeside. It need some mass grade. That what it needed was essentially what we were going to do is kill off a portion of the field that is weeds and undesirable grass, and reshape the field, and without changing the slope or the intent of the water. So I got Aaron Hollandike from CDA to help me on that, and ensure that I've submitted, I think, all of your requests to the city that were requested at the time, getting her to sign off that we weren't impacting with having to do with watershed and those things. So I've submitted that. We are still looking at doing that. It should be over a 3-phase period, starting with the north half. The north part of that, I get a little confused when I'm in that direction, but the north part of that field, so we would be disturbing less than 1 acre, so we could stay within the SWIP requirements, and then hopefully with approval from you folks, that would have been a project we've just started, weather permitting, a few weeks ago ideally, but here we are. It's May 20th. The seeding window still goes for roughly a couple more weeks, but our intent would be that we would start renovating that space in form, which would be light grading, tilling, and then reshaping it to a level surface, and then reseeding that area down, and then start playing on that area roughly this time next year if conditions warrant it. So that's what we're requesting. That's what we're looking to do. Beautiful Savior has signed off on an agreement to that we've submitted, and, you know, any questions, I can ask. That's kind of the grand gist.
I just had one quick question.
Sure.
Temporary toilets, would you do similar to what you did at Lakeside and just have a spot there somewhere, temporary toilets?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we would.
We got one up there now.
Yeah, we
Oh,
would.
okay.
I know, one of the, I think a request of the city was, and also this was a beautiful savior, is any act we would be making during what we'll call the construction process, which really is just a, kind of a formality. It's just, we have some equipment that we would be bringing in. We may have some dirt that we may have to re-level, but the parking space at the church or anything like that. Anything that we did disturb to protect not only the church, but individuals that may kind of impede in the areas that we would provide temporary fencing or rope those areas off on it. I don't expect it to be a long process. Honestly, from start to finish, if ideal conditions happen tomorrow and we were able to work on it, even though it's not, but if they were, we would start and we'd finish up within probably a 4 or 5 day. So it's not a duration of great length. It's just you got to have ideal conditions. Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You're doing it, according to this, you're doing 3 phases, but will each one be independent of itself? In other words, you were not gonna grade it all now, the whole thing
No,
now?
I mean, no, if we had other areas to play within the community, we'd look at it more, but, you know, with the limited space, we have to look at phasing it, this way, so that's why we're attacking.
Okay. Question?
So Kathleen, you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, the only outstanding comment we had was just making sure that the church had signed off on it, so we didn't,
Sure.
you know, take a site plan through without the approval of the property owner. And then we had them add some notes on there about it being one ball field or one soccer field only, just because of the amount of parking. They were limited, so.
Well, it looks like a great plan. It's a nice level area already. Great location,
Yeah.
great use of the area.
Yeah, I think it'd be an improvement.
Yeah.
What they have. Absolutely. Kind of accomplished kind of the goal for the club.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Kathleen or Matt? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend to council approval of the site plan for Beautiful Safe Church, subject to city engineer's comments dated January 16th, 2019.
Second?
Any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
I think we need,
Okay. We probably do. All right.
That's fine. Vogel,
yes.
Hankins,
Yes.
Triplett,
Yes.
Dietz,
Yes.
Olfest.
Yes. Okay. Next item. Thank you, Matt. The next item is regarding Lakeside Fellowship Church, and I'm a member and an elder there, so I've got a conflict. I've asked a fellow member to speak to it, and I've asked Denny to take over the meeting at this point and just conduct this.
So, let's see, this is item number 7. Consider recommendation to the council to approve the amended site plan of Lakeside Fellowship Church. Is there someone here to?
My name is Jason McWavy. As Doug alluded to, I'm a member at Lakeside Fellowship, so I'm here representing Lakeside. I don't actually live here in town, but I am a member of Lakeside. So I think in your packet you've got about 3 items. One, you've got a drawing with the area that we would like to consider doing a prairie planting in. There's a setback requirement from the DOT, 8 foot back from the edge of the shoulder. So, and then Kathleen had asked for 8 foot back from the drive from the recreation trail up to the road, as well as 2 foot on each side of the recreation trail to keep that mowed area, to keep it off the trail, to keep visibility from the driveway. So we've got that drawing in there, and then it also shows the areas that we're looking to see. Primarily the 2 road ditches, east and west of the driveway. The ditch in between the roadway and the access road, as well as the drainage just to the north of that access roadway. And then back on the west side, the detention pond. Had a number of issues with being able to keep that area mowed with the amount of water that we have coming through. We've got some erosion problems out in the road ditch that we would like to address, and the prairie plantings with deep rooted plants will help us to do that. This is not a mix of, or this is not just grass. This is a mix of grass and forbs. So there's going to be a lot of color that will change throughout the year as the different plants bloom. And is the list of seed packets included, or the list of seeds included in the packet? Okay, that did not get included. We did have a list, I believe, that got sent to Kathleen. But there was a request for the ones in the road ditch to not be over 3 foot tall. So there's a different seed mix that would go in the road ditch as opposed to back on private property. And then we would also do a mix depending on where it's at. So the bottom of the ditches where it's going to be wetter, we would have plants that can take the wet environment, and up on the sides it would be plants that can take more dry environment. There's also a request in there. Prairie plantings don't establish very quickly. They take several years. We just ask for the chance to make sure that we're doing it right. We do have plans to continue weeding out at least 3 years to make sure that we're getting desirable plants out of there, whether that's hand weeding or whether that's mowing of it, or whether it's herbicide treatment to get those knocked back. But we do have plans in place and budgeted for up to 3 years out to keep those weeds knocked back. Any questions?
Any comments?
They addressed our concerns and had the dimensional clearances that the engineers, I talked to our traffic engineers and what they thought was needed. And from my perspective, I was thinking that the resolution approving the site plan when it goes to council could just have something in there that says that if the grasses aren't established, that council could direct them to mow. I mean, if for whatever reason, 4 years down the road or whatever. I want to give them enough time to have them get established. But if for whatever reason,
Well, I
Either
really
unestablished
think
or
this is a
maintained.
great idea, a great solution to deal with this kind of
Yeah.
terrain or whatever.
Yeah.
And if it proves successful, it might be a good model for.
yeah, and that was part of the reason for having them do the site plan. I mean, is just number one, to show where it is. And also because the city has a weed ordinance, we wanted it to be more official. So if somebody called and said, why aren't they mowing? There is a, I guess, legitimate reason why that it would be enforced there, whereas somebody else may have to mow and make it a bill for it being. So again, it was to make sure that it wasn't just arbitrary on staff's part as to where they were issuing weed notices.
Yeah, I guess I've seen this type of thing be very successful. I've also seen it where it is not maintained and not be very successful. And so I guess that's my concern is just going forward. Well, first of all, I think we should approve it and give it a try. But I want to have it so that the city has some teeth and can go back in and change it if indeed it doesn't work out at its request.
Yeah, and we were suggesting the resolution
Yeah.
that would allow that if it can't issue.
And that's something that should be included in our motion. Do you
Sure,
think?
yeah, that'd be, yeah.
I think it'd be. There's no further discussion. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to recommend to council approval of the amended site plan for Lakeside Fellowship Church, subject to engineers' comments dated May 14th, 2019, and also including a resolution that should the city deem that the site becomes unsightly, that it could at a later date require mowing of the selected area.
Any further discussion? Not, roll call?
Triplett. Yes. Dietz.
Yes.
Olfest.
Abstain.
Vogel.
Yes.
Hankins.
Yes.
Thank you, Denny.
You turn it back to,
Thank you. Okay, item 8, preliminary plat for Bridgeview Plat 2.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Tom Whitman of Knapp Properties, 5,000 West Down Parkway. My engineer finally gave me a bigger board, so hopefully you can see it. This little one. So we sent this out to some builders that we respect and we have worked with in the past for some feedback, and the feedback we got from them was they felt we should do bigger lots here. So, our PUD concept plan, we showed 50 lots that were generally 65 feet wide, maybe up to 70. And the buildable width on a, say, a 66-foot wide lot would be about 50 feet. They thought we needed a buildable width of more like 70 feet on quite a few of these lots. So that pushes that lot size up more like 86 feet. So what we've done on this map, and this map shows 43 lots. So from lot 4 through 14, those are 85, 86 feet wide. And then lots 16 through 26 are that wide. And also lots 33 through 37 are that wide. And I believe that's 27 lots. And the other, what's that leave? 16? 43 minus 27? I'll say 16. Are in the 65 to 70 foot width. Otherwise, you know, the utilities and the road alignment and the detention are the same design as would have had we come in here with 50 foot lots. We did have our engineer run street center line on this a few weeks ago, and I went out there and walked that. I thought, you adjust the center line here or there, and I save that tree. And there are so many trees out there. It's just, if you go left, then you're hitting a different tree to save one on the right. So it's almost impossible, unfortunately. Yeah, there are some nice trees.
so, yeah, but reducing a number does allow more trees to be possibly saved.
And yeah, and the way we've configured the roads here to allow more depth of these lots would also really help.
Very nice lots.
Yeah, I think these will be really nice lots, and you know, whether we move ahead this year or wait until next year depends on pre-sales. I mean, we definitely have some builders' attention. When we did Woodhaven Plat 3, that was a plat we were going to delay until the next construction season, and we had so many pre-sales. Like, we made the decision on one week, and like within 10 days we had so many pre-sales we had to go ahead with it. So I sense that momentum building here as well, so we'll see how this plays out. Yeah. Glad to answer any other questions.
So I don't recall from prior meetings if there was any discussion of phases or at once.
Yeah, good question. We have talked about that, and again, that would depend on pre-sales. This plat, I think, would lend itself well to phasing. You know, we could either do, for example, this road and wait on this, or do the SAC and wait on this. I think it's a natural for phasing.
Yeah, the first meeting that we had with some of the residents that expressed, the residents to the south that expressed concern, one of the concerns they expressed was construction traffic.
Yeah.
And certainly the cul-de-sac, there's nothing that can be done as far as, minimizing how much traffic is in and out of there. What I guess I wouldn't like to see is, the other street not be developed in its entirety, or at least if only part of it is developed, that it's the north end, and not the south end, which I think from a storm sewer perspective probably couldn't be done.
Right.
And so, what I'd like to see is all the construction traffic on Long Street coming in from the north, not the neighborhood.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. That would be nice to avoid a lot of traffic coming from the south. No, we're on the same page.
Okay. And then, do you have, purchase and, agreements with all of the homeowners, far enough along? And the reason for my question is, wouldn't like to see any stranded, properties out there.
Yeah, so all 7 of them are in agreement. I don't think I think our attorney is waiting till the final plat stage to, kind of knock this down all at one time. Yeah, they're all on the same page.
And then my final question is probably for you and Kathleen both, is in some of Kathleen's earlier reports, she had expressed concern about the outlet of the detention pond. What's the goal and how did that get resolved?
Well, that'll be something that I just wanted to draw their attention to the fact that we'll be looking at that more closely at the construction. So right now, it's preliminary, we don't have as much detail. I mean, I want to see elevation-wise, that the flared-in section is coming out close, where it needs to in terms of the relationship to the flow line of the ditch, that it's not at the top, doesn't cause erosion, because it does flow onto a lot that's in Bridgeview Plat 1. And so we just want to minimize that, but that will be something we'll look at closely.
I spent a lot of time on the trail back there, and I've stopped quite a few times and just looked at it to see is there any way to avoid it. I mean, because it currently goes into the neighboring lot and through, and is there any way to avoid doing that? And there just isn't. The way it's graded,
Well, and where the culvert's located under the trail, it needs to get from this outlet underneath the trail. So, and they're aware that the culvert under the trail is obviously a constriction point. So, we don't want water flowing over that. So, it's, we haven't seen any of the calculations at this point in time. But again, when we get
at least currently the goal is that flow would never be greater than it currently is.
Right, that's right. So, yeah.
I got a question, I guess, with respect to the detention basins here. 3 different lots, 2 of them look to be combined, is that right? 29 and 30?
Yeah, so we've got 2 detention ponds, one here in the southwest corner, and that sits entirely on lot 15, if I can read that without my glasses. So yeah, the owner of lot 15 would be maintaining the basin, the mowing of it, picking up trash and things like that.
And I guess that's my question, the way it's written, is the property owner is responsible for maintenance of them, about sediment, things like that. When it starts to not function as it should, who's that on?
That would be on the property.
Yeah,
The city's responsible for the storm sewer pipe and the outlet. So if there's any issues with the riprap or the pipe itself, but the pond, it is on the property owner.
that's a concern to me, I guess. I think that's kind of a big outlay onto a property owner that's going to buy that, probably unsuspectingly.
Yeah, we've got a lot of that in the city.
Yeah, and I've seen some that are kind of issues
Yeah.
now that kind of sit there, and I guess I would be for avoiding that, whether go the HOA route or.
Yeah, my understanding from previous discussions is that the city doesn't have a authority to require that. What we do have is the easement that will cover the detention pond will have maintenance. We'll spell out the maintenance responsibilities in there. I believe that it's set up so that the city could in fact take care of that maintenance and bill that back to that property. So, I mean, it is a.
So you don't think we can require an HOA or some sort of mechanism or the city?
And not with your current ordinances.
Or the
There's
city
nothing
too.
in your ordinance that would require a homeowners association.
I think the one down by my neighborhood we have is that channel where there's probably.
I'm sorry, I don't know where you live. I apologize. Huh?
Oh, down by, Jeff Walter's old house down there.
Oh.
Behind there. Which, I mean, that scenario now, we've got feet of sediment in there, which nobody's maintaining, and
Mhm.
then you have to get maybe 5 homeowners on board to maintain that.
Yeah, that's
You,
right.
you know, and that's,
Yeah.
I guess I hate to recreate that issue anywhere else is my concern.
Yeah, I don't know that you have any mechanism for
Legally,
requirement. I mean, if you somehow change the subdivision, which we're talking about updating the subdivision regulations, and so that could be something that you consider with new subdivision regulations. It's just, like I said, the regulations they have now do not require a developer to create a homeowners association to take care of those ponds.
Yeah,
The maintenance is discussed in it. Now, contrary to the Pine Ridge, I mean, that's a drainage ditch, as
right.
opposed to a
It's not
detention pond.
basin.
Right, and that also went through, I don't even believe that went through I'm gonna say it's prior to 2002.
Yeah, it's quite a ways back.
Yeah, and I'm not even so sure that I don't believe they even required easement documents at that point in time. So I don't think there's a document that defines who's responsible. I'd have to verify that. I just know certain older plats did not have, they have a line on a drawing and that's it.
Right. So
And I
where does
don't
that
know I
really
think that
lie,
may
I
be the
guess,
case.
is what I look at. So
Pardon? I'm sorry?
where does the responsibility really lie at?
Well, that's why, I mean, part of it is that then we now at least require, and have since 2003, we
Right.
require easement documents to spell it out. So at least they know who is responsible. They may not like it though, but
Yeah, and I just don't think
Yeah,
anybody's gonna know that when they buy that lot or realize
Well,
the extent of it.
you know, they do because we usually have to discount those lots to sell. The other part of that is until we sell the last lot, you know, we're maintaining.
Right.
So when it's finally turned over, you know, one of the last things we do is clean out the basin, do an as-built survey to make sure the volume is there. By then, you know, the houses are established, the sod is in. And in this plat, there's no, you know, there's no ravine, there's no open drainage ditch. It's pretty much this that's contributing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just think it's a setup that
Yeah.
creates a chance for failure, you know?
Yeah,
I just say one other thing, I'm working on a subdivision ordinance in another community, and they're actually writing that the requirement for the developer to clean it out once it's stabilized into their ordinance, so that would, at least.
Yeah,
what
I
consider
would
doing.
assume we would do that, I guess. I
Mhm.
just, after that point and really down the road, it's gonna be a lot of years before this is an issue and has the house turned over and, you know, that's where I see the issue with it.
Tom, the note says the developer is not determined if there will be an HOA. If you do develop a homeowner's agreement there, would that be something you could address at that time? Or, I mean, I don't know if that's something that happens at what point, you know, that would,
Yeah, when is that decision made?
yeah. Well, that would be the plan.
okay.
You know, we talked about which way to go.
I think it's
Because
a fair point.
like I said, if we put it on the homeowners, we're discounting those lots. We have to weigh that against setting up the HOA.
Okay.
Fortunately, smarter people in the office than me deal with that.
But you're saying our ordinances do not allow for that, huh?
No, they do not require it. I mean, they would allow for an HOA, you just don't have the,
Right.
let's
can
say
allow it,
you
but-
have to have an HOA.
Yeah, and to me, I guess I would rather see that ability in there, or to me, the city almost needs to take it on to make sure it's done right. That's gonna be another issue, but, because really, we don't have anybody policing those either, then, so they're not a problem until they don't function.
Yeah, I mean, Public Works, I don't know their schedule. They'd be looking at the pipes and making sure.
Right, and I know they don't have time to go out and do that, so we're not gonna find out it's a problem until it doesn't perform, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, typically when they have the biggest problem, you obviously have the most silt is when there's still homes under construction. Once all the lawns are you have grass established. I'm not saying it'll be perfect, but at least you don't typically have a lot of silt at that point in time.
Right.
But-
So we're looking at adding that now, is that?
To the ordinance.
Yeah.
I'm we're discussing moving forward with a project where we would be re-looking at your subdivision ordinance as a whole. It's a pretty old ordinance. There's a number of things, and that being one of them, that we felt really needed to be addressed. I don't know exactly what schedule we've been done to it more. I don't know exactly what schedule we'd be moving forward, but it's something that we brought up at the comp plan stage. I mean, it's included in the comp plan as one of the implementations, so.
Right now, Snyder's putting together a proposal for us to look at updating the entire subdivision ordinance. Get that, I think we'll present that, hopefully get that process.
Okay. Kathleen, do you have any other comments related to this change?
No, I don't. We did look over the revised plan. I just came in real recently. I mean, it was just really a lot difference. We looked that over and don't have any concerns. I think, in fact, the less lots and lower density offers an opportunity to save more trees. And it didn't change the street layouts or utilities or any of those types of things. So the tree removals associated with that are the same as they always had been.
I do have a question for you, Kathleen. In paragraph, the third paragraph on the second, on page 2 of your review, you have some items in there that I would have expected to be under review comments. Like construction drawings will need to detail the outlet for the detention basin on 18, so on and so forth. You see them?
Yeah, the reason they're not as comments is because they are referring to a future submittal. So I don't want to hold up a preliminary plat based on things I'm asking them to do at the construction drawings.
Okay, all right.
So that's why it's there. It's to alert them that we'll be looking at that closely when they do submit the construction. So yeah, that's the reason. It is kind of a comment, but it's a comment to the construction drawings.
Kind of a heads up comment.
Kind of, yeah.
All right.
And then the parkland dedication, that's with the trail connection there, lot C is what we're saying?
The parkland, it would be the trail connection, so it's the land dedication plus the construction costs. They'll take whatever the construction costs are, they'll provide that to us, we'll equate that to a land value, get it back to, convert it to acres, and see kind of how it shakes out at
So
that
that's
point.
your comment for the remainder is waiting.
And then the remainder, the discussion at the time was to deal with that on Big Creek Technology Campus.
Oh, okay.
There's a kind of a broad thing going on up there that we kind of, if there is a shortfall, rather than trying to make a wider easement or something that way, that we would deal with it as part of that.
Somewhat useful.
Yeah. I just don't know what the remainder, if any, is at this point in time. So.
Just want to have a couple of questions regarding the new plan and when it came in and how much time that Kathleen had to view. What I would like to do, well, first of all, I think we're all comfortable that it came in and we're happy with it and going to move forward. What I am more working towards is trying to document what happened and having us as a commission say that because we feel that it's minor, we went ahead and accepted it and proceeded.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to have something like that in the minutes so that we can say that we contemplated it and decided to proceed. Well, I don't want to have a precedent out there that people can give us stuff at the last minute and we're going to accept it. I guess that's the direction or why I want something. And so when did it come in?
We actually got it in today.
Got it in today.
Came in mid-morning.
Mid-morning, and you felt you had time to review it and felt the changes were minor.
Yeah, I mean, it changed the lot numbers, but it really didn't impact the utilities or street locations or, I mean, the trail location moved slightly just because the lot line moved slightly. So, I mean, it was real minor. It didn't take, I had someone review it for me, but it didn't take him very long to review it because it was so minor in nature. It was,
so
if the streets were moving or utilities were changing, that would be a different deal.
With the approval of just us kind of sitting here visiting, I guess I'd like to direct that the minutes reflect that we did have a late change and that the city engineer felt the changes were minor and did a quick review and that the commission agreed that we should accept the late changes and include them in tonight's meeting.
I think another factor that allowed us to feel comfortable bringing it was the fact that it was reducing density.
Oh, yeah, I was
To increase
real
the
happy to
density.
see that. And I guess we're all hoping that the reduced density means more trees as well. So if that could be reflected in the minutes, I think that could help us if we got some late submittal from some other developer at a later date to say that, you know, we had a review process and decided to proceed, but we didn't necessarily need to.
I'm fine.
Thanks. Any other comments, questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to council approval of the preliminary plat for Bridgewood, plat 2, subject to engineer's comments dated May 20th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote?
Triplett,
Yes.
Dietz,
Yes.
Olfest.
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Pinkins.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, and, yes, thank you for working with us on today's submittal, greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for working with the neighbors again. Very good. Okay, staff report.
I'd just like to introduce myself. I know I haven't met all of you. I'm John Sandor. I'm hired as the interim administrator. The city has the opportunity to hire somebody full-time. Things go according to schedule. That should be around the 1st of September.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for filling in.
That's the main update I had. He's done a great job in whipping some of us slower council members into shape, and appreciate his direction and jumping in with both feet. I did want to follow up to a couple of things that you guys talked about. So one of the things that I really appreciated Don's been providing us with the updates, and through Kathleen, we should direct it appropriately too. They noticed that subdivision, I don't want to say out of date, but right for updating, and would like you guys to be included in that, or at least involved in some extent, so you see this coming in on the front end. The other thing, so I think the intention, so it's been a couple months since I've been here, and like Tom said, with him coming on board, that's occupied our time recently. I think the plan is still, as Jason alluded to in months past, that go to a rotation, so you don't have to deal with me every month. You'll get to see the rest of the group. Well, I did want to give, I think this is a shout out to all of you, but Ron specifically. So I've been having a few conversations as Big Creek Valley comes through and Whitetail Ridge comes out. I had some questions about the way Hug Drive is going to end up being, and there was some confusion around that. And I was like, why do you mention that? And I probably did not a great job because I couldn't remember exactly where the new line, and I really do enjoy taking credit for other people's good ideas, but at this point, I had to refer back. Was it you that originally suggested changing and vacating part of Hug and making it so?
Well, actually, it's in the comprehensive.
Well, it is, but you pointed it out. And that wasn't the original drawing came through. It had Hug going through, and on the rare occasion when I update folks on some city stuff, I got hey, that makes a lot of sense. So like I said, I wanted to take credit for it anyway I could in that instance. So, the work that you do does get noticed. Make sure to identify. That's the thing I had.
Okay, thank you. Commission report.
I will be missing the next 2 months, June and July,
You will.
visiting family in various parts of this country.
Oh. I just had a question. The Ivy project down here, paving, that I know Lorraine's help, but do we know what kind of schedule they're on?
They've had to pre-pour, I mean, and they were hoping to pour this week. This week just does not look very good weather-wise either. So
All right.
they've got their equipment there.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. I just wasn't sure. Okay.
It's my understanding as soon as it can dry, they will be starting at I'll say in the dog bone area, if you recall, there's two cul-de-sacs on the far side, or on the south side, kind of the lots back up to Pine Ridge. They'll be starting back there, so when they do start paving, you won't see it at the intersection immediately. They'll be working their way back. I guess in a related project, the signal poles are due in June.
June 7th.
Yeah,
My follow-up question.
yeah, they're, the pole manufacturer is out of Valley. I mean, they're the only signal pole manufacturer around, and they're out of Valley, Nebraska. And their operations hampered this year because they're right on the Platte River, but they are, like I said, in early June.
One pole manufacturer in the entire country.
Well,
That is-
not in the Midwest, in the Midwest.
It's just amazing,
It's,
but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's beginning to look like it'll still be the paving, so.
But
So it's
Hy-Vee's
paving
still
have to get
good.
pushed
I mean,
back.
they're gonna follow in right behind paving is the plan.
Well, they're two different I mean, it's the signal poles is the city's contractor. The city's contractor has finished, the sidewalks and the right turn lane and the storm sewer work. So really it's just the foundations of the signal pole and then obviously some surface restoration. But I think that there's a good chance that may be done before the streets open anyway to traffic.
Hy-Vee's 2020. That was the last.
Surprise. Okay. Anything else? Not? We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Hey, get out of here.
Yeah, right.